Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode number 40 of the Wulong Talks podcast. My name is Jason. I'm the host of the show. Welcome back to all of you who've been listening to us in the past. And if you're new here, welcome. Hope you enjoy the show. As usual, I'm joined by my co-hosts and my cohorts and my brothers in arms. The Man Geek up north, Big A. Say what's up, dude.
All right, what's going on?
And with me down south, we've got the wrestling kid, Rich Kid, as well in the house. Rich Kid, what's up?
Hey, what's happening, people?
Yeah, man. So we're back for number 40. So for this episode, we decided to kind of do something a little bit different because we generally haven't covered a lot of sort of like video game movies and video game adaptations and things like that. With Tomb Raider around the corner as well, coming out in a couple of weeks, it seems like a relevant time because Hollywood is not giving up on those video game adaptations. They've had mixed results so far, to say the least. And we'll get into our opinions about that shortly as well. But first of all, boys, what have you been up to, man? How you been? What you been doing?
I've been good, man. Well, not been good. I mean, I've been sick, to be honest, the past week. So I've literally done F4, man. I caught some form of cold or virus off my boy. And you know what it's like when you catch one of those things of like little people. That shit will dead you, man. So yeah, give me a tick. And that's him walking into the room now. Hello, Luca. What's up? I'm recording. What's up?
What's up? I'm Mr. Conductor.
You're Mr. Conductor. Yeah, and then he had his world book day, so he went as cosplay as Mr. Conductor. No, your bed. Into your bed, please. Thank you.
I think
closed door behind you.
Mr. Conductor is the politically correct name these days.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
To be the fat controller, right?
Yeah. No, so basically, what happened is that I think the states now own the rights to Thomas the Tank Engine. So do you remember the film that came out a few years back?
Yeah, they did a movie. Years ago, didn't they?
Yeah, they did a movie. Yeah, it was like so he's always been into Thomas anyway, but the movie's just coming to Netflix and it stars, I think, Adam Baldwin. It's got who's the guy from Easy Rider? That never really made a good film off. Fonda, not Fonda.
Peter Fonda. Peter, yeah.
Yeah. Peter. Yeah, it's got Peter Fonda, Adam Baldwin, and then a few other people, and it was like a more politically correct version of Thomas the Tank Engine. I don't know if you guys have read Thomas the Tank Engine books. Listen, man.
Not recently, no.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you can remember back, they were written in a particular period.
Yeah.
Boy, let's just say men and women were definitely different then.
Well, I was going to say, you know what? I don't even remember books too tough with Thomas the Tank Engine. It was more the
TV
cartoon
show
series. Yeah.
Ringo Starr.
Yeah, exactly, with Ringo Starr. Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't caught him in the paedophile sting yet. Boy, you know.
You think? Nah, I don't think he'll get caught for anything. I don't think he's done anything. Ringo Starr? Nah, he's safe, man. He's safe, man.
I don't know about that, man. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, man. Big A, what you been up to, bro?
So you know what? I can't remember. You know, everything just blends in for me. So it's just the usual stuff. A bit of Bayonetta, some comics. Still need to see The Shape of Water. Still not seen it yet. Actually, I might do that tomorrow. Thinking about it. It's not like I won't have the free time. And and yeah, that's about it. There's nothing. I can't think of anything of significance. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, standard.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. Yeah, for me, it's been like a weird week, man, because like I wasn't too well a little while ago as well, and I was getting these really bad migraines that were popping off, and it felt like my brain was melting inside my skull certain times. So, but if any of you are migraines out there and have got some like anti-migraine tips that you can hand out, then that would definitely be useful. I'd much appreciate that. But aside from that, yeah, went to go see The Shape of Water. We did a review for it as well. So if you pop along to the main channel, you'll see the actual review that we did there. It's a non-spoilers review. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't worry. There's nothing that I give away in the review there. But I would recommend it. It's a good movie. But yeah, go and check out that review if you haven't done so already. All right. Well, as I said, this is going to be kind of themed around sort of video games and video game adaptations and things like that. But we actually had like a new trailer released this week, which was for Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is the sequel to the Wreck-It Ralph movie that came out a couple of years ago. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but it's something that I really enjoyed when it came out. It was a real surprise to me because it really kind of captured a lot of the old elements of sort of retro arcade gaming and things like that, and it brought back a lot of memories. And I'm a sucker for nostalgia, as all of us pretty much are. So yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. So this new trailer sees Ralph being released into the internet. And I thought the trailer was kind of good, I guess. I was a bit worried that it might be a bit cliche internet, in the sense that, you know, the internet has been a part of our lives for a very, very long time. I mean, you're listening to us through the internet, so you know this thing has been around for quite a while. And with the internet, you know, things can date very quickly. So things that seem culturally relevant at a time could suddenly become very pastiche. So this trailer doesn't kind of give too much away, but it gives you enough of a sense of where the kind of story is going to go. First of all, for the one amongst us who has a little person in their lives, Rich, has Luca seen the original Wreck-It Ralph?
No.
What did you think of the trailer?
Well, what you need to say is, how many times have we watched Wreck-It Ralph? How about that?
Yeah, that's a better question, actually.
Yeah, like I've seen that film repeatedly, like literally repeatedly. We haven't watched it recently, but I think the amount of times I have seen it, actually, you know, we don't need to see it for a little while still. I really enjoyed the first one. It was just like, because I didn't see it in a cinema, and I remember my friend Emil, you know Emil, Jason, we call him, basically we've got a friend called Half a Mil. He's a Filipino guy, and we call him Half a Mil because he's so tall. He's about 6'4", 6'5", so he's definitely not half a mil. If anything, he's a full million, right? But and he's got a few kids, and I remember him telling me when he took his kids to see it in the cinema, and I wasn't really sold on the concept. I was like, you know, it's okay. And then I remember seeing it, you know, when I had the boy, and it was just such an amazing. It's probably one of my favorite Pixar films or Pixar movies or Disney movies. I always get them guys mixed up. Probably second to The Incredibles. So yeah, I really love the first one. The trailer, when I heard it was going to be released a little while back, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a bit skeptical, because I did really think, like, where they're gonna take it from there. But the trailer, it generally had me laughing out loud. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That bit at the end when he's feeding the kitties.
Oh, with the cats.
Yeah. I was dying. Dying, and I was at work just busting up. Like, so 2 seconds.
Be quiet. Don't be loud.
I'm recording. Okay. Good night.
Be loud.
Okay. Say hello to Uncle Jason and Uncle Alvin.
Hello, Uncle Jason and Uncle Alvin.
Okay. Say good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Night, Luca.
Go to you. Close the door behind you, please. Close the door. Close the door. Thank you. Because sorry about that. Yeah,
that's all right, man. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool.
He heard me mention Wreck-It Ralph. That's what made him come in. Hey.
Trigger, huh? Yeah. But yeah, that bit with the cats is kind of funny, man. It really is. Alf, how about you, man? Are you hopeful for this movie?
Well, it's been a long time coming, because the first one came out, 2012, I think, in the States. I think in the UK it was a few months later, during like February half term. But it's been a while. But yeah, I was happy to see it back. I think the phrase "break the internet" is very, well, like you're saying about things on the internet become dated quite quickly. That term is super dated now. That feels like a 10-year-old term now. But I think it was around 2014 where Kim Kardashian did that picture that apparently broke the internet. So that phrase even seems dated to me. I wish they'd actually changed the title. But back to the trailer, yeah, I liked it. I think there could be a lot of possibility. There's going to be a lot of product placement. Right? There's going to be tons of, and I hope it doesn't become like obnoxious. You know what I mean? I hope it's subtle, and I hope they don't like kind of overdo it. There's a potential that they may overdo it. They didn't overdo it with the video game characters in the first one. They were just kind of there in the background, and they were like, "Oh, Sonic, oh, Ryu and Ken," you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. Oh, there's Zangief. So yeah, I'm hoping there's not too much of that. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, it also reminds me of an episode of Futurama where they went into the internet, like in VR, and like some of the like early jokes in the trailer, like all the ads. I've already seen that joke in Futurama before, so I'm a bit like, but the rest of it was great. The rest of the trailer was pretty good. It got me back in the mood for some Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah. Futurama like always kind of gets to the punch first, doesn't it? It's like them Simpsons guys. I don't know. It's scary, man. I mean, you keep seeing these memes pop up on the internet of things that they predicted that have already happened, and you're like, what the hell? You know, like, yeah. So it's crazy, but yeah. I mean, that would be my one concern as well. With same as you, is that you know, as said, things move so fast in the age of the internet, and you know, something that seemed to be fresh a couple of months ago can suddenly become, you know, not so fresh anymore. So that probably is the one concern maybe that I would have. But aside from that, yeah, it's you said, man, it looks like it's fun. It looks like there's a real kind of sense of kind of joy, I guess, is the best way for me to describe it about this film. And it looks like they've kind of carried that over to the first movie as well. And yeah, I'm expecting lots of references to different things as well. So we shall wait and see when the movie is released, how well that plays out. All right. Moving on now to the next topic. As I said, we're talking kind of about video games being adapted into movies and things like that. And you may remember a little while ago, I think this was, in fact, it wasn't that long ago, really. It was probably back in December or November, I think it was. But there were talks that Nintendo was striking in a deal with Illumination Entertainment. For those of you that don't know, Illumination are the people who do the Minions movies and Despicable Me and things like that. They struck a deal with a view to producing a Super Mario Brothers animated movie. Now, the news was kind of met with mixed reception, I guess. Some of us here are old enough to remember the Super Mario Brothers live action movie, and yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we talk about why video game movies don't work. But yeah, suffice to say, it's left a bad taste in the mouth. But this is quite an ambitious move for Nintendo. They've really only just kind of, I guess, recaptured their mojo with the Nintendo Switch and the success that's been having. So I guess they're trying to strike while the fire's hot. But do you guys remember the Nintendo animated series? That there used to be like a Super Mario cartoon. Yeah. Yeah, you remember that? And there was Rich, do you remember the other one where I can't remember the name of it, but it was a kid who had NES
Captain N.
gun. Captain N, that was it.
Yeah, Captain N and the Nintendo Squad.
Yes, that's right. So, you know, when I heard this news, it got me wondering, like, maybe they might do, you know, a version of that, perhaps, along with a Super Mario Brothers movie. But I guess first and foremost, is a Super Mario Brothers animated movie something you're going to be interested in from Illumination Entertainment? Alvin, what do you think?
Illumination, they're not quite up there, are they? I mean, they do things that make a lot of money, but I don't know if they've got skills, because they make their films for like dead cheap in terms of like animation anyway. They're so much cheaper than like DreamWorks and Pixar and Disney as well. And it's just like, when I heard that they were doing Super Mario, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I saw Illumination, and I just kind of went, oh, okay. But then also it's got me thinking, like, the Mario characters don't say that much.
No, they don't really.
You know what I mean? And it's like, how are you going to do it, right? Because it's just like, not a lot happens in the Mario games apart from jumping on stuff normally. especially if you're playing classic Mario. So like, how are you gonna create an interesting story about the Mushroom Kingdom when there's only like there's not even that many actual people in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah,
there's a few people, and then there's some dinosaur-looking things, and then there's bloody Toad, and there's loads of him or her or it, because apparently it's not binary. I don't know, but it's like
also
I don't know how they're gonna do it. Or
sorry, that just not to jump in the middle there, but did you see that Nintendo confirmed that the mushroom on his head is a hat?
See, I saw that, but then I also saw them confirm that it wasn't a hat. So now I'm just confused. I don't know whether it's a hat or whether it's not a hat.
I won't lie, that news broke me, man. I was like, what? It's a hat. I was like,
it makes sense to me because like Toadstool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why it's called Toad. But then when they're like, it's a hat, it's like, but then why is he called Toad? He doesn't look like a toadstool, which is a kind of mushroom. That really kind of knocked me for six as well. But yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do it. I don't know how kiddie they'll make it. I'm just kind of. I think of all the Nintendo properties to turn into any kind of film, I think Super Mario is one of the hardest to adapt because there's not a lot there in the first place. You know what I mean? In terms of story, anyway. And any story you've been given in any previous Super Mario game has either been extremely simple, and any backstory had been in, well, back in the day when there were manuals that came with games, they would explain who the characters were and what basically happened before the game started. I don't know how you're gonna. I don't know how you can do it, man. It's a difficult task, and I'm glad that I don't have to do it.
But I always love you the best.
Yeah, it's an odd one. I don't really know where they're gonna go with it. So.
About the rules.
It'd be weird. It'd be weird. Rich, how about you, man?
Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll give you my take on it.
Yeah.
Oh, you ready?
Yeah. I'm ready. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird because Illumination, as the Minions say at the beginning of the films, like they pretty much knocked it out of the park. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure if they've done any other movies. I think they might have, but Despicable Me 1, Part 2, and even the Minions movie were all like pretty much solid movies. Despicable Me 3 is the only one that I was a bit like, okay, maybe you've kind of flogged this horse a bit too much. And the Minions movie shocked me because they were able to expand a whole basically create a whole movie based around a side character that's basically just used kind of like for shits and giggles in another two movies. So taking to how much like Nintendo like to control things, and there is a certain amount of history behind the Nintendo behind the Super Mario games. So as much as you say like it's pretty much simple, if you think about it, if you really go back to, like you said, Alvin, when they were given manuals for like the Nintendo games, I think there's enough groundwork and enough of a base to base a story off. I'm not sure if it'd be any good. And it is going to be CGI, I take it, right? Just like the rest of the other Illumination movies. I would be interested to see what they're going to do. Would I be excited? Am I excited about it? Not really, because I haven't been excited about a Mario game in years. I might just see a Mario game and be like, oh, that looks good. But it's long gone are the days when I'm like, I'm going to buy a Nintendo machine specifically for Mario. But I'd like to see Mario on the big screen. I mean, it's one of those things where we've always asked for it anyway. You know, we've had the cartoons, like the Super Mario Brothers cartoons. We had the Captain N cartoons, although Mario was never in that. But yeah, why not? Fuck it. I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious as well. I mean, the Minions. I didn't like the Minions. I'll be honest. I was like, oh god, they're fine in their own movie, in the Despicable Me movies, but on their own, they were just driving me nuts. But yeah, like the Mario movie would interest me because I think there is some room for a bit of expansion, as you said, Alvin, because the story is quite basic in a lot of the Mario games, but there's quite a big world out there, particularly for people who've played like Super Mario World and things like that. You know, you'll see that there's quite a lot of space there and quite a lot of characters that you can develop. So I think there is room for maneuver for them. So it's a curious idea, and yeah, I mean, I would be curious. I would be curious to see what they can do with it, because I think it could be quite a successful thing. And they said Nintendo are on the bounce right now. They seem to be able to do no wrong right now. So I guess from their point of view, cash in while the fire's hot, and you know. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense that they would strike this deal. So I think we're a few years off from development anyway, so I'm not sure if we'll find out anything too soon. There was some rumors swirling around that there may be a Legend of Zelda adaptation as well, but I don't know how true that is, or how close we are to getting that. That I would be really interested in. I'd love to see a Zelda animated movie, because if done right, that could be really spectacular. But yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. As said, there's no kind of release dates that have been set or anything like that, as far as we know. At the moment, it just seems to be that this deal is in place and that they're going to try and develop something with it. But when it will happen, we don't know. But yeah, man, let's move on. Unless you all have got anything else to add.
No.
Cool. All right. Well, I just wanted to mention this story partly because I'm a Yakuza fan, and all of you who listen to this podcast know, like, I've waxed lyrical about Yakuza and the Yakuza game series before. I'm a fan, man. I love that series. Well, those of you who are fans as well will probably know that there was, or there is, a 6-part to the Yakuza story, which is due for release later this year. I think it's about May. And I should know because I bloody put it on my Amazon wishlist immediately from when it was announced. But I believe it's about May. It's due for official release in the UK. Anyway, Sega decided to put out a demo on PlayStation Now, I think it is, PlayStation Plus, so that people could, test an early part of the game and get a feel for it. Well, somebody at Sega fucked up, as you say, using the technical term, because apparently it seems that the entire game was released in full on the internet, or on PlayStation Plus. Now, I'm vexed because by the time I found out about this, I went online to go and check if it was still there, and it was gone. They took it down, because I would have jumped all over this. But how much of an epic fail is this? Like, this is an epic fail for Sega. Epic. Like, they've spent years developing this game with a view to taking it to the market and selling it to fans and to people who own PlayStation consoles. And instead, they've basically just given the whole thing away for free to people who have a membership, like, for 24 hours at least it was. Guys, number one, how big of an F up is this? And number two, if there was any game that you could get for free on PlayStation Plus that somebody accidentally releases online, what would you play? And I guess, Alvin, yeah, we'll go to you, man.
That it's not a small fuck up, but it's literally the biggest fuck up you could do. So I don't know if someone pressed the wrong button or dragged and dropped the wrong file, but they fucking messed up. So someone's definitely gonna get fired for that. You know what I mean? They might even have to do that kind of samurai sacrifice. You know what I mean? If they messed up that badly, you know what I mean? There's no honor in messing up like that. I'm releasing the full game as a demo. But yeah, that's wild, man. Just like the fact that how can you fuck that up? I just don't understand, because surely you'd look at the file size and be like, 60 megabytes, 60 gigabytes, I mean, instead of like, I don't know, 5 gigabytes or something for a demo or something like that. It makes no sense, but they fucked up big. In terms of games that I'd want to be fully released on PlayStation, be none, because I don't have PlayStation.
Oh, well, assuming you have, well, I guess you're part of the PC Master Race, as listeners know. So what would you get on Steam if the similar situation had happened?
Ooh, Steam. You know what? Although it's not like, although it's like a decent looking game, if they were to release it for free on Steam by accident, that I would download, I think it would be the Attack on Titan game. Because I wanted to play that for a while. It actually looks pretty good, but it's always not at a high price. But I can wait another 2 years to buy it. But if it was released for free by accident, like it's all messed up somewhere, I'd be fucking on that straight away.
Cool. Rich, same to you, man.
How big of a fuck up is it?
Yeah.
Well, basically, in the gaming world, the guy who fucked this up is probably sitting side by side with the guy who released the image for H&M with that coolest monkey in the jungle.
Like, it's the same guy.
Yeah, you know what?
It probably is the same dude.
That's like you said. That's an epic like fail. Like the thing is, even though it's something that can be rectified, because I'm pretty sure it's something that can be rectified as standard. Like I'm sure it might be even as simple as just like clicking a button and like, hey, it's done. But like we've all discussed before, we're at an age now where shit doesn't get forgotten. And the amount of people that are on that, and the amount of people that are on their like P's and Q's. What I want to know how many people actually had the access to download it, as in like how many people have clocked on and just downloaded that. I would like a rough estimate or an exact number at least, and then we can basically kind of like figure out how much of a f up it is, because we know it's a big f up.
Yeah, there's
no two ways about that. But if like I don't know how many units games sell these days. I'm sure like it's like 200 and let's say if it's 250,000 units. If they release like a number that like 10,000 people downloaded this game, this guy needs to go into hiding.
Because you've just basically like taken a good 12-13% off the profits of the company. Yeah.
This isn't even funny. You know how much of an f up it is. Like when he went into work the next day, even his close boys and his close friends, they were like, yeah, we can't even talk to you, man. Like just guilty by association is not in my repertoire right now. So yeah,
we don't put your failure dirt on us.
Yeah, not even. But if there's any game that I could download for free, does it have to be a game that's out now, or would it be like if a game was to be released or something like that?
I guess it could be like a fantasy game. Yeah, I suppose.
Okay.
As in, you mean like a game that doesn't exist already?
Yeah. So if it's a game that I could download for free right now, it would be a game called Nier Automata, which is basically on the PS4, and it's basically one of those sleeper hits that's just been like getting 9s out of 10s and stuff like that. They've pretty much said that is kind of like a perfect game, graphic wise, gameplay, narrative, and all sorts. So, and that's one of those games that for some reason has been out since last year summer, but when I go to certain shops, it's still like £40, which is really getting me upset. So I'd like to download that game for free. If I could download the game for free right now, I would download Death Stranding, in the Hideo Kojima game, the one that we've had the trade. Yeah, I'll download that just because I'm not even sure if it's going to be an amazing game, if it's going to be a rubbish game. But Hideo Kojima is somebody who definitely thinks out of the box, and I'd like to see what he's doing with this game. Just because he always tries to do something different, and I like different, and I like different when it's free. so yeah.
As I like to say, free is my favorite word. Favorite word.
No. As I like to say, free is my favorite number.
My days. Well, listeners, let us know what game you would pay for free if you got the opportunity to do that. I'd be interested to hear your answers. So yeah, let us know, man. But let's move on. I mean, as I said, this podcast was primarily going to be sort of about video game adaptations into movies. And I suppose you can't really have a podcast about that without asking the question, which is, why are they all so bad? We've had a number of movies based on video games over the years. Pretty much every one of them has been a box office failure spectacularly, bar maybe Mortal Kombat. And you know, generally they seem to kind of take the bare bones of a game and the bare bones of the idea of a game, and then just eschew everything else that made the game work. Slap a movie around it and then stick it in cinemas, and then wonder why gamers like stay away in droves. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to ask you guys the question first and foremost. I mean, why do you think that they're so poor at adapting these things? Rich, you can go first.
For me, I think it's just because they don't stick to, well, you know, it's a number of different things. I mean, on one hand, I think it's because they don't stick to the true source material of the computer game, and they generally just make a game based off the name alone, and I think that's an epic fail. So a prime example of that would be like the Resident Evil series. Like, yeah, you know, like it doesn't have to. I mean, the thing, it doesn't have to be called Resident Evil. It could have just been Mila kicks zombie ass. It could have just been that. No, but it's true. You know what I mean? And a prime example of that even more is that, number one, there was 6 or 7 films, and yeah, I think I've enjoyed maybe one of them, and that wasn't even the first one. So that's one point. The second point is that even when they did try to bring in you know, characters from the original games, they just failed epically on it. Like it was actually quite upsetting, and an insult to intelligence, and an insult as a fan to this, you know, to the series, to someone who's a fan of the series. And so that's number one. And then number two, I think it's just that sometimes when they try to stay too close to the source material, and then you're just like, yeah, like, I understand, you know, it works when I'm holding a controller in my hands, you know, and then you're doing X, Y, Z. But then sometimes you want that fine line between being able to enjoy it and then not having to think about the computer game in itself, if you know what I mean. Like you still want it to be a fresh take on something that you already know and love. So that's the main problem that a lot of these computer game films have for me. But I think the main problem is that a lot of them are just lazy, and they, like I said, it's just a quick money spinner. They see, oh, this game made so X amount of units, made this amount of money, and so, you know, we can just make some money off that.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood loves nothing more than a fast buck, and you know, anything that seems to be kind of in the popular consciousness at a certain point in time is something they seem to want to bandwagon and jump on. Alf, how about you, man? I mean, what's your take on the disaster that's been video game movies?
Well, it's been going on for a long time, and I think part of the problem is you're taking something that's kind of an active experience, you're partaking in it, and you're trying to translate it to something that's quite passive, which is watching a movie, just watching the thing happen on screen. And I think that's kind of a lot where the problem lies, because I think they don't know how to take that experience, which is a different experience, and put it in the passive experience. Also, I think a lot of studios are just kind of like, they don't understand the game. Like, for example, Max Payne. Like, at least play Max Payne. If you're gonna direct like Max Payne, director had someone play it for him. But I don't know if he played the whole. You know what I mean? It's like you've got to really.
Is that true? Sorry, did that?
Yeah,
he had someone play the game for him.
He had someone. I think he had someone play a few levels for him.
No, you know what? Sorry to cut in, Alvin, but that's what's his name did as well. Isn't that what they said for the new Resident Evil? Paul like Anderson basically said that he like, no, nobody. Somebody played the game for him. Like he didn't even do that. He just watched the people playing the game. Like, you know, when people upload them playing it on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. He did that when he was making the film.
Yeah, see, that kind of thing to me is kind of lazy. It's like, if I was going to direct, it's like, for example, everyone who's directed a Marvel movie they've had to, at least the writers have at least had some kind of experience with the content in order to actually put that character on the screen. Otherwise, we're not going to get an adaptation. They need to work on. I mean, even if you have to play it on fucking easy, like play the game, because the scripts are actually games, especially when we're getting around kind of like, you know, the Xbox and PS2 era. It's starting to get quite cinematic, and it's kind of odd that you can have quite cinematic games, but they can't kind of translate into movies, which is really weird. Which is telling me that they're not actually playing the games; they're just taking the games as they are and like trying to do something different with it, but something that's not quite similar. And yeah, I don't know. It's just a problem. I don't think some of the people that are making video game movies actually understand the game they're trying to make a movie of. You know what I mean? And I think that is a lot to do with it. Also, I think sometimes in a game you'll be just playing the one character, right? Let's say Max Payne, for example. You are Max Payne throughout the entire game, if I remember correctly, which is great when you play a video game because you get to see everything from Max's perspective. Whereas in a film, you'd get bored of Max if you wouldn't the whole time. So really, you should go. There should be other people and other places you can go to. I don't know why I keep going to Max Payne as a reference, but I just remember seeing the movie and being really fucking annoyed because there was so much potential for greatness, and they didn't even do bullet time correct.
Yeah, Max Payne was horrible film. Like it really was. It was just, and it was a massive disappointment for me as well because I was a big fan of the Max Payne franchise back then.
I remember that.
Yeah. You know, I love that shit. But you know, it was like they just took the name Max Payne and took the character's name and took the drug and then decided to do their own thing with it. And you know, they had people hallucinating demons and all this kind of shit that's not in the game. And you're just like, why are you doing that? Like, I don't understand. Like, you know, if the purpose of this movie is at a base level is to try and at least appeal to the people who are fans of the original source material, then surely you want to try and work in as much of the original source material as you can so that those fans go, oh, I recognize that bit from the game. Oh, I recognize that bit. You know, let me go and have a go at that. But no, they decided to do their own thing with Max Payne. But yeah, I mean, both of you raised really good points, really, about why it's such a problem. I mean, I was thinking about it, and like trying to remember like how many we've had because there's been quite a few that Hollywood have had a go at. There's been, I know you remember this one, Richard, Wing Commander. With Freddie Prinze
Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill's in it as well.
Yeah. Hamill, yeah. No, he's not in the movie though. He did a game.
Oh, he's in the cutscenes. Yeah.
But Wing Commander with Freddie Prinze Jr. and the dude from Scream as well.
Yeah, Matthew Lillard.
Yeah. I see that shit on BBC One, man.
I'm surprised BBC even bothered.
That was terrible. That was terrible. I remember like catching a bit of it and kind of, you know, like this is when I used to read the paper, like the physical paper, and seeing a TV listing going, oh my god, Wing Commander, and I'd missed like half an hour of it, and then watching like 5 minutes again, like what the hell is this? And literally turning it over. I was like, yeah, I'm not invested in this. No way.
Yeah, it was god awful, Wing Commander, and so yeah, we've had Wing Commander, we've had Max Payne, as you mentioned, Resident Evil, as Richard's mentioned. You know, more recently we had Assassin's Creed, which was a bit of a mess.
Oh fucking hell! I almost forgot about that movie. It was entirely from my memory. Now you just reminded me about it, and how pissed off I was when I saw it.
see, the thing is, you know what? I'm not even gonna front. It's like Assassin's Creed. It's weird because I wouldn't consider it like a piss poor film. I would look at it. I look at that film and I'm like, you know what? You tried, but you tried too hard. And so I'll give them.
Yes,
so it gets bonus points for me. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I mean, nevertheless, it doesn't mean that it's not a bad film, especially in certain parts. But then I look at that film and then I look at like Resident Evil 7. Which is the 7th film of a franchise, and there's a bit where, let's say, for example, when Mila Jovovich is hanging upside down, and some bad guys try to basically she's falling into a trap where she gets strung upside down, and these like mercenaries or like, you know, raiders try and basically kidnap her or kill her or something like that. And the way how the choreography is filmed, you guys remember that the whole uproar when they did there's that scene where in Taken where Liam Neeson is jumping over the fence and they show how many cuts.
It's about 50 cuts.
So basically this scene where she's fighting upside down, fighting against guys, it has more cuts than that Liam Neeson jumping over the fence. Like, it's so bad. So I look at that and then I look at the director who's directed, I think, maybe 4 or 5 out of the 7 films. And he's the person that kickstarted the franchise. And so I look at that and I'm like, yeah, like now you're just being lazy. And then I look at like Assassin's Creed and I'm like, I feel sorry for you because you really did try. Like, you've got a decent cast. You've got, you know, Michael Fassbender. You've got Marion Cotillard and so forth.
Sorry, Rich, wasn't the developers involved in it as well?
Were involved.
Well, see, I don't even know. But then in saying that, you know what? Wasn't Jeff Johns involved in the Justice League or the DCEU movies?
That's a low blow, bro. That's a low blow.
but you know what I mean? Is like we said before, it's like, you know, some of these companies, I mean, they're just saying, well, okay, we're gonna take it whether you like it or not, because there's probably somebody higher above them who's higher saying, yeah, we're gonna sell it. And so to try and maintain some dignity or to bring some people in, they'll just say, yeah, we've got some developers in. And it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, watching the film, it does seem very, very visually quite close to the source material. I'm not an Assassin's Creed fan. So like I said, so I always feel sorry for the film because I can see that they did kind of try, but they just got lost in their own, you know, they got lost in their own matrix. But sorry, I didn't even mean to cut in. Sorry. I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah.
No. I mean, you were making your point, so that's all good. But yeah, I mean, for kind of all the reasons that you've said, I mean, those are kind of things that I would echo. But yeah, it just strikes me as odd that you would try and make a movie about a property that you've never, you know, an IP that you've never experienced before. I mean, it's like, to me, it's like making a movie of a book and not bothering to read the original book. I mean, that doesn't mean you have to be a slave to that book and you have to adapt it page by page by page. But surely you'd want to kind of ground yourself in what it is you're taking on before you then go to, you know, the scripting stage and start building your script and so on. But it just seems like with some of these movies, they didn't even bother that. I mean, you remember the Doom movie, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
So bad. Terrible.
So bad. The Doom movie is just like...
The Doom movie. In fact, you know what? In fact, let's do this while we're all online. So let's just all think of probably one of the worst computer game movies that you can think of. Like, because you just brought up the Doom movie, and that's another film that I watched. And in no disrespect to this actor, because he's not only a good actor, but he's a good director as well. But I remember watching that film and seeing Dexter Fletcher in it, and I was like, what? Dexter Fletcher's in this film. I can't finish this. Yeah, I was like, I can't finish this. Like, no.
I remember you from Press Gang, bro. What you did it?
Exactly. So you bring up that Doom film, and like I said, and that's a prime example of like, it's only the name is a name only. You've just taken the name with the little TM and a little circle beside it, and you've just slapped it on top of the box. But I'll top you on that one. Do you remember the Dead or Alive movie?
Oh wow! Yes.
Man. Again, that's another film I've completely forgotten about. But you just
I forgot about that as well.
Shit. That was really cheap. That movie, man. Literally.
Yeah, you know why you forgot about it? So because cheap. You watched it, and then you probably went up to your bedroom, opened up that drawer, and took out that little memory eraser that they have in Men in Black, and you just wiped your own memory. You're like, what? An hour and a half? This? Nah.
Oh my lord! And wasn't it Corey Ewan that directed it as well?
Listen,
that was like his first American
that's upsetting.
movie properly, you know.
That's upsetting. Like that, like Corey, like anybody. I mean, like anybody who's. I mean, I know we're slightly deviating, but anybody who's out there who's a martial arts fan, so Kung Fu Driving Podcast, I know you listen to us, so I know you know who we're talking about. We mentioned Corey Ewan. Corey Ewan is basically he was part of the same troupe that Jackie Chan trained in as a child. and he's an accomplished martial artist, and he's an accomplished choreographer as well. He's not the greatest of directors, but he's decent enough. But you see Dead or Alive, and you're just like, wow, like your master would probably make you do like 1,000 push-ups in your knuckles, like for bringing that fucking shit out, man. It was just so piss poor, and that's not even in talking about the way how the story is put together. It's like 10 stories put together that only just seem to just like take little strands from the computer game. Ah, man, it's making me itch just talking about it.
Yeah, it's like it's appalling, man. It's really, really appalling. Like, listeners, if you've seen Dead or Alive, we feel for you, man. We feel your pain. If you haven't seen it, I'm almost tempted to say go online and have a look and see if you can watch it, just to revel in it for yourself. But it's
Honey Valance. Honey Valance, isn't it?
I know,
like, Honey Valance, isn't it?
Like she literally came like straight out of Neighbours into that. like so. Wait, what?
Oh my god.
Oh wow, it's so bad. It's so bad. I mean, like to be honest, the only kind of like I've seen Mortal Kombat I mentioned earlier is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. It's close enough to the games that it's still recognizable for fans of the games, but it kind of has a little fun. Ironically, it's directed by the same guy who did the Resident Evil movies, Paul W.S. Anderson.
Are you serious?
Yep. Yeah.
Wow, you know what? I did not know that. What happened? Like,
who knows? Who knows? But Mortal Kombat's actually kind of fun. In the sense that
for the wrong reasons though, but yeah, you're right.
Well, it's almost kind of like they knew it was bad, so they were all just like, fuck it, let's just have a laugh. And they did.
Fun, yeah.
And some of the jokes are actually some of the jokes are actually quite good in it as well. And Lyndon Ashby, man, like I've never seen that guy again. Like,
you know what? He was in something recently, man. I can't remember what it was.
I'm exaggerating. I know there was something he was in recently. He was in something recently, but it just was weird to me. It's like he was Johnny Cage, and then God, I remember that was the movie that was going to be Cameron Diaz's big break.
But she broke her hand, didn't she?
Yeah, but she broke her hand. Yeah.
She fractured her wrist or something like that.
The universe where that happened. That would be great to see.
Yeah, she was going to play Sonya Blade.
Wow.
So yeah, man, it shows you, boy. Like,
jeez,
it just goes to show how these things work out. But also, I wanted to give an honorable mention, a couple of honorable mentions. Don't know if you guys have seen this one yet, but there's a short Street Fighter movie called The Avenging Fist, which is actually quite good. It's made by, it's directed by, what's his name? Joey Ansah, the guy who played Desh in the third Bourne movie, Bourne Ultimatum. And that's a really good film. Really, really good film. Like it's as in it's a good Street Fighter film in that it taps into the mythos quite well. It's a low budget film, so the effects aren't brilliant, but in terms of like kind of how capturing sort of Ken Masters and Ryu at the point that they're at in their journeys, in the martial arts journeys, and their relationship with their master, and kind of like the dark chi as well, and introducing Akuma as well and things like that. It does it really, really well. He's a guy I hope he gets a big job, man. I really do.
Joey Ansah.
Yeah, I think he's got.
It's weird because like he did the choreography for the third Bourne film as well. I mean, obviously underneath I forgot the guy's name, but I'm a big fan of his. But I did a bit of research because he's half Ghanaian, but his family are just full of artists. Like I think like he's got a brother that's an actual artist. His dad is like a professor who's like a painter or something as well, and his mom's like a musician, and he went into martial arts. But you're right. It just seems like he just hasn't had that big break, and it's quite upsetting because he's definitely good at what he does, man. Yeah, so it's good shout with that, man.
Definitely go and check that one out because it is worth a watch. So I think I saw it on Amazon. So yeah, I think it might be on Amazon Prime. So yeah, go and have a look for that, listeners. And also, of course, on the subject of Street Fighter, who can forget the classic, man, from the Street Fighter animated movie from manga from 1990. What year was it? 3, I think it was, or 4. I can't remember. Early.
I think it was 94. 94.
Yeah,
it was
94.
94.
Yeah. But I love that movie, man. I love that, and I watched it again the other day, and it's terrible. It's racist. It's sexist. It's like it's all over the shop, but it's just so fucking wicked in terms of like capturing kind of like the spirit of the game in a sense of how the combat mechanic works, and building that into kind of like a live action scenario. It does it brilliantly. I mean, like some of the fight scenes in there still hold up. That's the joke of it. Like the animation style is, 20 plus years old, yet the fight scenes still work. I instantly, whenever I think of that film, I think of 2 fights in particular. I think of Ryu and Fei Long at the beginning of the movie, sort of early part of the movie, and Chun-Li and Vega. Them 2 fights.
Yes.
Wicked. Wicked. The way the animators put those fights together, the way they incorporated the characters like special moves into the fights, wicked. Like good.
Well, the thing is, think of it like, you got to think of it like this, because you just remind. I haven't seen that in ages, but you know what they did well. I mean, those 2 fight scenes are freaking amazing. But even the opening scene when it's Ryu and he gives that, and he does the dragon punch on Sagat's chest to show when Sagat gets, like they set the tone from like in the first 2 minutes of the film. They set the tone ready, and you're just like, what? This isn't just like, this is like real Street Fighter. This isn't that Van Damme nonsense that they gave us. Like they're really going for it. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. That's. I don't think that's even an honorable mention. We could literally just do a whole show based on that animated movie itself.
Did you ever see that movie, Alf?
The animated movie, no.
Oh, you need to track it down, bro.
Hold on, wait, no, Jay, don't just brush over it like that. Alvin,
you can't chastise me. Fuck you.
No, I'm not going to chastise you because you know what you've done already. I don't need to tell you what.
Joker.
Yeah, Alvin, Alvin, like literally, like you will love it. Like it's just.
Now, the only Street Fighter animated movie I've seen is Alpha.
Alpha was like a cash-in to me.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
it's not as good. Yeah, you need to see the original. In fact, you know what? I've still got it on DVD somewhere. I'll dig it out and send it up to you.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah, so you can have a watch of it, man. It's worth it. Trust me, it's really worth it. Yeah. All right, man. Well, that'll wrap up that part. Now, listeners, we're gonna have a little bit of fun for a little while, so indulge us if you will. What we've decided to do this week is we've decided we are going to come up with some video games that we would like to see as movies, and we'd also gonna do a mini pitch for each of them as well to give you a sense of how they'd look. We also asked some of you as well on our social media channels what you'd like to see as movies, so we'll go through a couple of those answers afterwards as well. But yeah, boys, who wants to go first?
Alvin.
All right, so wait, so I just have to say you pretty much use the idea behind it, right?
Yeah, you can do, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'd pretty much have to go for Crackdown. I'd have to do Crackdown starring The Rock, because I'm not even a big Rock fan or anything like that, but I think he could just sell the film. Because the film, it would be loud, there'd be loads of explosions, a lot of gunfire, and yeah, I think he could be a pretty good kind of member of the agency. And I would have like a supporting cast of like MMA, like get a few MMA heads in there, get a bit of Ronda Rousey in there, get a bit of, let's give Conor McGregor his first like supporting role in something, you know. Don't give him too much to do, you know what I mean? He's not an actor in it. But like, you know, have him say little shit talky things here and there, play a bit of a funny character and have a bit of swag. And yeah, so imagine like kind of like the Expendables, but everyone's like super agile and that, jumping like 50 feet in the air because we're all genetically modified. and yeah, just be like a fucking fun ride.
So what game was it, Alvin? Because you literally cut out Crackdown. What? I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
What game's that?
Oh, it came out on Xbox 360, innit?
Ah, okay. Oh, okay.
So not a lot of people would be aware of the fact that it was a video game unless you had an Xbox 360. But Crackdown, yeah, dope.
Yeah.
So what exactly would be like kind of the rough story outline for it?
There were stories that it'll be just like the game because I played it in it, and unlike these other directors, I know what I'm fucking doing. Right? So pretty much we'll take the kind of same concept of the game, which is that there's a city called Pacific City, and it's overrun. Kind of like, you know, at the beginning of RoboCop, we see the city's up. Actually, RoboCop 2, where like, is it RoboCop 2 where you see at the beginning, like the city's all fucked up and that, like everyone's robbing each other and all that.
Oh yeah, that's RoboCop 2.
Yeah.
Essentially that, yeah. The city's like proper shit in places, and it's overrun by like drug cartels and all this kind of business and that. And then you've got kind of like, we're gonna kind of start it like it's a variation of what happens in the game essentially. So we get kind of the beginnings of the agency and like your first original agents, them all being genetically modified and all that to take on all the street crime. And well, fuck up all the bad guys pretty much. So there'll be kind of like one main cartel, which I guess they probably had some kind of the main antagonist would have had some kind of relationship with the Rock from the past. So it'd almost be like they were kind of brothers in arms that have gone separate ways. And so therefore there'll be a bit of a conflict because he wouldn't want to take this guy out, but he kind of has to because the guy's a criminal now. So that would kind of be like the whole kind of like emotional weight of the story because it'll give the Rock well actual conflict, and yeah, it'll just be pretty much that, and it'll just be a shitload of action, and it'll just be following them through the stages of like the initial beginnings of like, you know, cleaning up like the city and all that kind of business. And the cartels trying to respond with force as well. And then obviously we get to see the kind of physical powers that the agents have, which are all kind of really strength and speed and all that kind of shit, agility. And also we'll see throughout the film, they don't start off like strong straight away. It'll be like just in the game, like the more you do shit, the stronger you become. Like the more you jump, the higher you'll then be able to jump. The more you drive, the better you'll get at driving, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see them improve. They won't start off wicked. They'll start off kind of normal, but throughout the film, we'll see them power up and get better.
Okay, cool. So it's kind of like a sci-fi action kind of movie with like kind of elements of RoboCop chucked in there as well. Okay, cool. Yeah, makes sense. Rich, would you go and see it?
Yeah, I'd go and see it. Why not? Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, based off a computer game. Yeah, why not? And my boy Alvin, you know, I'm gonna back you. You know, this is your first script. Yeah, I'd pay like that tenner to go and see your film.
Cool. Fair enough. All right, Rich, you ready to go, or do you want me to jump in?
Oh, no, you can go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I toyed with a couple of different ideas. At first, I was thinking I might do Metroid. But then I kind of just started copying the Alien franchise, basically. And it wasn't working. So I was like, nah, you know what? That's silly. And don't laugh, but I gave serious thought to doing an Echo the Dolphin movie. Okay. Because I thought about doing it as like a CGI movie, maybe, rather than a live action. With a kind of action adventure type of scenario. And, you know, you can chuck in with them. A bit like that. Yeah, a bit like that, but with a dolphin, a less annoying kid. So, less like people and more the dolphins themselves, you know, and the other sea creatures. But then I'm kind of treading on Finding Nemo's territory as well. So I thought, you know what, I'll just stick with what I know, which is fucking violent action movies. So I decided to go with Sleeping Dogs, which I love. You know, and everybody who knows me knows I love that game and I play it like constantly. And I think it would be perfect for a movie. There is an adaptation that apparently is in the works, which Donnie Yen is attached to, and is being produced by Neil Mortz, who's the guy who started the Fast and Furious franchise. With the greatest of respects to Donnie, he, for me, would not be involved in my adaptation, because I believe that they want to cast him as the main character in the game called Wei Shen. And he's too old to play Wei Shen. Wei Shen in the game is a younger character, and in my movie I would go with a younger character as well. The reason being that part of what makes Wei Shen quite a complicated character is that he was initially born in Hong Kong, left with his family to go to America, became a police officer in America, got embroiled in some kind of messed up like kind of gang culture over there, eventually becomes a cop, and an undercover cop, and a good one. But, you know, things start to happen. His sister becomes addicted to drugs and dies of a drug overdose. So he leaves and he goes back to Hong Kong to kind of, I guess, reconnect with that side of his life and that identity. And I think that for me, for that character, I would want somebody who's a lot younger. So I was thinking probably I would look at someone like Louis Tan, because I think he can kind of deliver that duality towards the character. And instead, a key part of the story is, you know, his struggle to kind of reconnect with his Chinese roots in Hong Kong, because when he arrives there, you know, he's seen as an outsider. But also part of the reason he's there is because there's a massive gang problem in Hong Kong, as there is in all these Hong Kong gangster movies. If you've ever seen one before, then you know the gangsters, the triads rule the roost over there. So he'd arrived back with a mission to try and infiltrate a particularly powerful gang, with a view to obviously helping the police to make arrests. Now, if you played the game, you know that in the game there's a lot of corruption with the police and with the organized crime families over there as well. So that would definitely play a part in the story for me. And the action is on point as well. The action is just wicked, man. There's some really, really good set pieces, some wicked car chase scenes that you get, and lots of kind of hand-to-hand combat as well. So it gives an opportunity for Louis Tan to kind of show off what he can do in terms of his martial arts skills. And the guy looks like a movie star. So, like, you know, he's got the $1 billion face, he's got a $1 billion body, and he's got a $1 billion move. So he just needs to be put in that right movie. And I think this would be the one for him. I'd probably chuck in a couple of other famous faces from the martial arts world as well. Donnie could definitely have a cameo. I mean, he could even be
the villain. Donnie can be the villain.
Yeah, I was going to say he could play one of the villains. There's a villain in the game called Big Smile Lee. I think Donnie could pull that off easily. He'd make a brilliant villain, and it would make for a fantastic end fight scene. I'd probably try and find a way to work in Amy Johnson somehow. I'm not sure how. I haven't really given it that much thought, but yeah, there's probably a way I could fit her in there somewhere. Yeah, and that would be my movie, really. That's what I would do. I'm sure the people who are producing their version are not listening to a word that we've said, and we're going to get some next piece of shit that doesn't have anything to do with the game at all and is just their own take on it, but we shall see. But yeah, that would be mine. So what do you think? Would you guys go and watch that?
Wait, when you said Amy Johnson, you mean like Amy Jo Johnson from Power Rangers?
No. Amy Johnson's a martial artist. Yeah.
I've not heard of her before.
No.
Yeah, no, Amy Johnson. She's yeah. Hold on. Furthermore, I've actually posted a video or trailer of stuff that she's done in our group at work. And you said, Alvin, that you're not going to watch it because it's rubbish. And I said, no, it's good. Watch it. So there you go. Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, but you know what?
When you post things, it is shit. So
yeah, no. But I'll say when it's rubbish. I'll say when it's rubbish, though.
Actually, though, I've seen this chick before, because you know why? Because I'm on YouTube now, yeah, and there's a channel in it that does like these martial. Like she has. She's in one of them videos, so I would have seen her.
Yeah. She has her own channel, I think, as well. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that she's done, and there's a lot of things you probably would have recognized her in and just didn't realize it was her. But yeah, she would be somebody I'll try and work into that story some way as well. But yeah, man, that beef was festering. That beef has been festering for a while, listeners. So yeah. But yeah, Rich, what about your movie, man?
Okay, so I couldn't make my mind up between two. So one of them was going to be Devil May Cry, and the other one was actually going to be one that you've done already, Jay. We've actually wrote an article on this, which is funny enough, basically, computer games you'd see turned into film, and that was going to be Mirror's Edge. So you guys can pick which one, and I can see if I can pitch it to you.
Don't do Mirror's Edge. Do fucking the other one. I forgot what you do.
Devil May Cry.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Do the other one. I can't remember what I just said.
I don't want to hear no Mirror's Edge, man. You know how Mirror's Edge makes me angry, yo.
I know you're not going to see my film, bro. Like, what's that film?
Yeah, that one.
The other one.
Some guy called Dante some shit. Go on.
Yeah. Like, I mean, literally, it kind of, to be honest, it'd be like the kind of like same pitch that Alvin has done, except that I would be like, imagine everything you've seen in John Wick and Kingsman, but then against but like on a supernatural type of level, which I think would be quite good. So obviously you just need to get, I mean, the basics of the mechanics is there action wise, and then you just need to throw in some zombies, throw in some demons, and that would be perfect. And I'd also almost do it like an origin story of him basically finding himself and basically setting up the actual Devil May Cry shop, where he actually becomes the demon hunter, and literally, and I would just do that. I mean, you can't go wrong in that. It's action wise. Action wise, we've already got the people there. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't use somebody like Keanu Reeves. I'd get somebody a bit younger. I was even thinking maybe like Armie Hammer, who's actually quite a physically imposing guy, and he's able to do some of the action stuff as well. And he's an up and coming star who I think kind of deserves a bit of slack cut for him. I mean, he has recently, since the whole Lone Ranger fiasco, but give him like another action role that he can actually just have and own for himself, instead of like being in another film like Free Fire, or let's say maybe like the man from Uncle. Yeah.
Do you think he can do, because Dante's a bit metro in it, you know what I mean? Do you think he can pull that off?
A bit metrosexual.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Armie Hammers, to be honest, and I follow him on Instagram, and I'm kind of always interested to see what film he's going to be in next. And he's completely metrosexual. If you've seen The Man from Uncle, there's a scene in there where it's him and Alice Vikander, and it goes throughout this whole thing about basically saying how a woman wouldn't wear this and she'd wear this in this way, and so forth and so forth. And him and Henry Cavill constantly have barterings with each other about this tie wouldn't go with that suit, and so forth. And I think that would work. That would work for him. The main problem that I would have would be what type of Dante it would be based on. So if it would be based on like young, cocky, kind of angry Dante from DMC, or if it's going to be like, slightly older, but then full of smart quips, kind of Dante from Devil May Cry 1. And then you get like the whole complete shift in Devil May Cry 2, where he's almost like the man with no name from the Sergio Leone spaghetti western films, and he just goes around just kicking demon ass. So I haven't made my mind up yet as to which Dante I would like him to play, but yeah, that's what it would be like. And the music, obviously, you've got like super heavy rock, get some Linkin Park in there, and you know what, bring some hip hop in there, and then do like some hip hop and rock mashups, and I think it's pretty much onto a winner, to be honest.
Okay, that's interesting. The only thing I would say is with Armie Hammer, he's kind of getting on a bit. Like he's nearly, God, I think he's 40. In fact,
Jay, Armie Hammer's just turned 30, bruv.
Isn't he 40?
Bruv, hold on. Oh,
are you sure he's 30? Because I'm pretty sure he's older.
Give me a second. Hold on. Let's Google this now. I'm sure. I mean, I'm not even gonna be like, yeah, he is. Let me just Google it now. Army Hammer. God damn it. Where is he?
The fuck? He's 31 years old.
I told you. He's a young cat, bro. He's a young cat. Yeah. And you know the reason why I remember this as well? Yeah. You know the reason why I remember this as well is because one of the things was that when he was cast, when they first announced the Lone Ranger movie, and the first name that was attached to it was Johnny Depp. And they were like, oh, is Johnny Depp going to play the Lone Ranger? Is going to play the Lone Ranger? And then you find out that Johnny Depp was the person who's going to play Tonto. And they were like, wow, like Johnny Depp's basically taken almost like a secondary role in which is meant to be like quite a big franchise movie. And then they named Army Hammer, and they were like, the amount of money that's been put into this film and what they're intending to do with it. And it's been given to a no-namer, basically, and somebody who's actually quite young. So basically, look when the Lone Ranger came out, and look how old he was then. So that's one of the reasons why I remember him being quite young.
Okay. Well, bloody hell, I didn't expect that. the man don't look 31, you know. I've got
He doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Like,
yeah, maybe he's that kid in school who lied about his age, isn't it? Maybe he's more than 31. Just stayed a few years back. It's back.
Yeah, I don't know, man. All right. Well, listeners, let us know what you thought of that, and also let us know what your movies would have been and what you would have liked to have seen adapted to a movie. Now, we did ask this question on social media this week, and we got a few answers as well. So I'm going to pass through a few of these quickly and give a few big ups at the same time as well. And you boys can chip in and say what you think, whether you'd want to see them or not. So first of all, we need to give a shout out to Joe Difford on Instagram. He said The Last of Us. I think Last of Us would have been a high choice for me, but it just looked like it's never going to happen, really. I mean, they've been trying to make a Last of Us movie since the first game came out, and they can't get it off the ground. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, really. But yeah, a Last of Us movie would definitely work, I think. PTO Unlimited, shout out to them. They said BioShock. That's another one they've been trying to make since I think 2007. They've been trying to do a BioShock movie. I know at one point Gore Verbinski was attached to it, and then he left the project because the budget was just too big. But yeah, that would be tricky.
Sorry, can I just say the Last of Us?
Yeah,
I actually prefer that as a 6-part miniseries on TV.
Yeah,
than a movie.
I think because the story is so dense. It's going to be really hard to try and fit that into like a 2 hour 15 minutes script, you know. Yeah, that's the only tricky thing about it. I mean, unless you do it as a movie trilogy, but yeah, I guess a 6-part miniseries would probably be better because at least then you can flesh out the characters in the way that the game does. You know, but yeah,
it'd be interesting to see a Last of Us movie. I mean, you know, it's one of those games because I'm a big fan of Naughty Dog, and I haven't picked up in some time, but I've still got Uncharted, The Lost Legacy, which I need to complete. And The Last of Us is one of the games that I just didn't get a chance to play, just because I think when it came out, I just wasn't playing games at a very moment in time. But I'm not sure if I would want to see it as a movie. The same reason why I'm not sure if I'd want to see Uncharted as a movie, because like I said, because those games in itself, like you mentioned earlier on, Alvin, like they are cinematic experiences. Like I can play the Uncharted games and forget playing it, just watch the cutscenes. And some of the cutscenes in the games are like better than big budget films that you see in the cinema.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it would be easy to translate, especially if it's a character that you know and love already. And so if you were going to do a game, let's say like of The Last of Us, maybe still have it set in that same universe instead of maybe retelling the story of Joel and Ellie, because you kind of already know, unless you're going to do certain changes just to, just so to keep people on their toes. But then that feels like that'll feel like a bit of a cop out. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Well, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. But I mean, like maybe expand.
I think that's good.
Say again.
I like that idea that you said do something within the world.
Yeah, do something with the world. And maybe even have them literally actually tied into each other. So you don't have the movie that you're watching is actually canon to the computer game that you're playing. Because the thing is, you make a game like let's say The Last of Us or Uncharted. The reason why I'll mention both those games in the same sentence is because Naughty Dog have, like I said, they've perfected cinematic gameplay. So the thing is, you make a film of that, you're gonna have to find the perfect Nathan Drake. You're gonna have to find the perfect Joel, the perfect Ellie. Anything that doesn't work in this film adaptation, and the film is gonna crumble. Because those games, when you look at the rating for the games, they're 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. That's nothing. That's nothing to fuck with. you know. So that's what I think of when I think of those games, because they're just, like you said, they're just super dense. That's why, Jason, when you mention, maybe making like a 6-part miniseries or maybe a trilogy, that would be the way forward. But even then, you can't afford to make any form of mistakes when you're bringing it to screen.
Hmm.
But I just thought I'd throw it out there. That's my 10 pence.
Yep. Cool. No, fair enough. Let's just run through these other ones real quick. There's only a couple anyway. Shout out to Real Man Brain podcast as well. They said Custer's Revenge, which is old.
Wow. Custer's Revenge. How old is he?
Yeah. Because when I saw that, I was like, oh shit. Like, you're old, dude. But yeah, big up to you, man. And who else do I need to say big up to? Oh, That's Life as well. They said Mass Effect. Mass Effect, I think, could be brilliant, but very, very, very expensive. Like, you're going to have to spend so much money to make just one Mass Effect movie, let alone, again, you'd have to do a trilogy in order to cover the amount of story there is in Mass Effect. And the amount of characters as well. And to do it justice, you're going to need 3 movies, and each of them is going to be super expensive because of the amount of effects it would require. Yeah. But if you could get somebody to pull it off, boy, who knows, man? It could work out. Shout out to Ben as well. Ben said Fallout, which could work. Yeah, I mean, it can work. People like post-apocalyptic kind of stuff. So yeah, Fallout could definitely work. And lastly but not least, shout out to James as well, who said Alien Isolation. I love that game. And I think they should have done an Alien Isolation movie instead of the crap we got in Alien Covenant. That would have just saved everybody a lot of headache and given people the movie that they actually wanted. So yeah, if you're listening, Ridley, I'm not going to let you go for this. But yeah, that's it, man. So we've reached the end of the episode. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. Alvin, before we go, where can people find you at?
You can get me on Twitter and Instagram at Big885Gmail.
Cool. And Rich Kid, where can people find you at?
On Instagram under Rich Reviews 266. And also the Instagram Wulong Talks, and obviously you got the podcast www.wulongtalks.com. And I think I've also joined Vivo, so I'm on Vivo. And is it Vero? Not Vivo, Vero. That new social media platform. And what's Vivo again? What is Vivo?
I don't even know, bro. I was like, you said Vivo, and I was like, what?
I'm just like I'm like making words up and shit. So like, I'm on Vero under Rich Reviews 266 as well. So I mean, I've only just joined that this week, so hopefully should be easier to use and a lot better for people to be in contact with me and Jason as well, as opposed to Instagram, since I've changed the algorithm. So yeah, that's where you can find it. So you can find me anyway.
Yeah, cool, man. As Rich said, I've opened up a Vero account as well. We're following that bandwagon of all the artists that are jumping on there. So if you have signed up for Vero, have a look out for us. I can't even remember what my screen name is on there, so like I'm pulling a Richard at the moment. But yeah, I'm on there. But otherwise, stay tuned to the end of the podcast. You'll be able to hear some information about how you can subscribe to us and how you can find our website and lots of other stuff as well. So on that note, I shall say goodbye and say goodbye, Rich.
Goodbye, Rich.
And say goodbye, Alvin.
See you later.
And we're out of here. Peace. And we'll see you next week.